In this series of videos called Your Journey, we're talking about the transition that people often make from one faith tradition to another. And with respect to Mormonism, we're thinking about, what is it about if I want to change faiths, if I want to leave one to join another? Because we understand there's a lot of great reasons why people join the LDS Church or why they stay in it. At some point, you may have received a testimony of its truthfulness. Maybe the Word creates a positive community for you, and the moral and family values are a good place to raise your kids. Maybe you find satisfaction in the emphasis on family or on achievement and success. And of course, for many, there are strong ties of history and heritage. Being a Latter-day Saint becomes a person's identity, and that identity is reinforced in 1,000 different ways from childhood throughout life. But what happens when the church stops working for you? When those factors of belonging and connection just stop working anymore? When maybe you go through a life crisis or a major change and the word community isn't accepting as it should be? Or maybe you just start getting worn out from trying to live up to all the expectations and tired of the constant time and money pressures. Have you felt overwhelmed with the stress of busyness and activity, of worthiness and performance? Or maybe you realize you just didn't fit in culturally when all the benefits of the Word really seemed to be for someone else. Or maybe you joined the church or you grew up in the church with one set of understanding about things, only to discover that there are many things that you were never told. There might be hidden aspects of Mormon doctrine. There might be unsavory elements of Latter-day Saint history or changing doctrines that you felt like were swept under the rug. And so you're wondering if you still fit, if it's still worth it, or even if it's even true. Well, somebody once said that the hardest thing in Mormonism is to leave it. We know this is a big challenge. We know that you can feel like even if you consider leaving, that you'd be betraying generations of ancestors, that you'd be jeopardizing your family's eternal happiness, or you fear that you might lose your friends. You don't want to disappoint or alienate your family. Honestly, you've seen other people who voiced their doubts, and they were treated with suspicion and kept at arm's length. Or you've seen people drift away from the church who were then marginalized or stereotyped or gossiped about by others. You were taught your whole life that other churches don't measure up. And so if Mormonism isn't true, how could any of those other churches possibly be true? And even to think about these kind of issues makes you wrestle with feelings of guilt and denial, maybe confusion, insecurity, shame, anger, loneliness, alienation. Those are common emotions that people go through when they begin to doubt or question their identity, their culture. And yet, in spite of these daunting challenges, more and more people than ever are leaving Mormonism. Many of them are finding a new spiritual home in traditional biblical Christianity, and that's okay. That's completely okay. And we understand that process, and we know the challenges of going through it. We know the price that people pay, and that's why we have a tremendous amount of respect for all the courageous people who have been willing to pursue the truth no matter where it went, even at that cost. And so we want to encourage you, don't give up on your search for truth, no matter where it leads you or no matter how long it might take you. Another thing, it's a journey. We just want to encourage you to take the next step. You don't even have to think about, what if I were to leave? That's maybe too big of a question. Maybe it's just taking the next step in the journey, because you don't have to take it all at once. That's why we created these resources at rednotes.org, to help you pursue the truth, to decide for yourself. Maybe you'll decide that everything we say is baloney and you want to remain in the church. But we think these videos can help you to recalibrate your understanding of the truth, just to help you on this journey. I've been thinking, why is it that when someone leaves a traditional Christian church to join the LDS church, they're treated like a hero and a celebrity, but when someone wants to leave the LDS church for traditional Christianity, they're treated like an apostate? Why doesn't the gate swing both ways? It should be honorable to follow the truth wherever it leads. Now, at this point, you may not have any idea where your journey's taking you, whether you want to leave Mormonism or not. We just want to encourage you to keep an open mind and have courage to follow the truth wherever it leads. And if you decide that that's where the truth is leading, you should know that it's okay if you decide to leave the church. Now, here's some things you might want to think about if you're doing this with someone else. You could discuss these things together or just think about them in your own mind. And here are some biblical passages that might relate a little bit to the things that we've been talking about in this video. So God bless you on your journey. Hope you'll come back and check out the next video in the series.